In this video, we're going to show you how to install the radiator on your Ford Taurus located behind your front bumper. With the hood open, go ahead and locate your ground terminal on your battery. Using a 10mm socket, we want to go ahead and loosen this nut right here. Loosen that and pull it off and set it aside. Across the front here, we want to go ahead and remove the series of 10mm bolts. There's normally a couple on the top here. Ours are missing, so just go ahead and grab the others. Now, the next thing you want to do is remove the lower front splash shield here. It's attached to the lower portion of the bumper. And on the inboard portion here, there's some plastic retainers. You use a trim tool to go ahead and remove these retainers. Now, our splash shield is held in here with buttons, replacement buttons, and zip ties because our car was in an accident before. And it's missing some components. Around the front side here would normally be some mounting hardware, normally 10mm bolts of some sort or plastic push pins. You do want to go ahead and remove those next. Now behind the bumper itself, you're going to have your marker lights right here, and there's going to be a connector. Now you want to push in on this little tab on the back side. You're going to push in and pull that connector off. Go ahead and repeat this process for the driver's side. Now right up inside here, there's going to be a plastic button. It's actually a button that goes into a retainer. So I'm going to go ahead and use my trim tool. You want to go ahead and pop the head of this out. Once you pull out the centerpiece, you go ahead and grab the base. Is the base there. You want to go ahead and repeat this process for the driver's side. Now on the inside of your fender liner here, there's going to be a few screws. Now normally there would be a 7mm, but our particular vehicle is using 7/32. Use your 7mm socket to go ahead and loosen and remove these screws. Now normally there are 3 of these here. Our vehicle was in a collision before we received it. So there are a couple components missing off of our vehicle. If you follow this down, there's going to be a third one down here that will attach to the lower skirt area. And then if you follow it inward, there's normally a plastic button on the inside. You want to go ahead and release all of these here to go ahead and pull this fender liner back. Repeat this process for the driver's side. Now right where the bumper attaches to the fender, you want to go ahead and grab this bumper and you're going to pull it outward. Go ahead and let that float free. Want to go ahead and repeat this process for the other side. Now with both sides disconnected from the fenders, on the top here, you're going to pull up on these tabs right here. These kind of hold the front bumper on. So you're going to lift up on these two and just pull forward gently. Now as you pull forward, the bumper is going to start to come off. So be prepared to capture this. And when you pull this off, you want to be careful that the bumper itself doesn't bump up and start scratching the paint on the fender. And slide that off and set it aside. Now that we have the ground terminal disconnected, we're going to come up to the throttle body area and we're going to use our flathead screwdriver and go ahead and loosen the clamp here. Now you don't have to undo it completely, we just want to loosen it. Now if you look over to the right here, there's a hose, vacuum hose. I want to go ahead and just pull this off. And if you follow down the air intake tube here, we have another vacuum port right here. There's a little gray clip on this here. You just want to go ahead and pull that inward and then towards you. And then pull this straight off. If you follow the tube over, there's going to be two metal clamps here. You're just going to push those out. At that point, we go ahead and lift up and we're going to pull the hose off of our throttle body. Once that's separated, come on over to the other side of the airbox, and there's going to be three little tabs. We want to go ahead and take our airbox lid and pull it towards the passenger side. You're going to be disconnecting these three from the airbox lid base. Set that aside. We now want to go ahead and remove our air filter lid base, and to do so, there's going to be two 8mm bolts right here. Loosen and remove these. Now you're going to pull up on this as well as this portion right here. Now the base itself is held in by two rubber grommets and posts on the bottom, so just gently pull upward. Here's the two plastic posts right here. They go into two rubber grommets. You now go ahead and set that aside. Now from underneath the vehicle on the driver's side, I want to go ahead and locate the drain valve on our radiator, which is this right here. It's like a white nylon plug. Now normally you can reach right up and over the cross member and turn that counterclockwise. But if it is stuck, you can use a 19mm wrench and put on there and go ahead and loosen that. Now the coolant itself is going to come out from this bottom drain port right here, so we have a catch can ready to go to collect our coolant. Let's disconnect our lower radiator hose from the radiator. There's a clamp on the top. You can use a pair of pliers or a hose clamp tool. With the hose disconnected, we're going to go ahead and close that drain plug on the bottom. Get and take a rag and wipe up any of the residual coolant here. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this rag and I'm going to tuck it inside the lower radiator hose here. And this is just if we happen to lose any more coolant, the rag itself will just kind of collect it. All right, with the radiator drained, we're going to use our pliers to go ahead and release the upper radiator hose clamp here. Slide that back out of the way. Want to wiggle this off. And we're going to use a securing strap to hold this back up and out of the way. Let's go ahead and remove our upper hose support here. I'm going to use a pocket screwdriver and go into the side. When you go into the side here, you're going to push back, releasing the lock tab, and then just lift up on this. Now across the whole back of the fan, there's going to be a wiring harness. And normally there's going to be some plastic retainers around the perimeter. Some of them are broken just from the heat, and maybe somebody was in here prior to us. You just want to use your trim tool. I want to go ahead and release these buttons. There's a couple of wire ties on this as well. Now on both fan assemblies, there's going to be a connector that plugs in to the motor itself. Now I want to come on down to the driver's side fan right here. Follow the harness up, and there's a tab right here you want to push in on, and then pull that out. So there's a little tab right there. I'm going to go ahead and do the same to the fan on the passenger side. Now the connector for the passenger side fan is located down here. You're going to press in on a little tab and release that, and then pull the connector off. Now on the driver's side, you're going to go ahead and locate a bolt right here on the upper corner. Now it looks like somebody's already been in here and replaced this bolt. Now normally these are a 10 millimeter. This one here appears to be an 8 millimeter, but you want to go loosen and remove this one, and then you're going to find basically the same bolt on the passenger side in the same location. Let's go ahead and loosen and remove this. Let's go ahead and do the same on the other side. Now I want to go ahead and grab the cooling fan assembly, and we're going to lift it straight up and release it from the tabs on each side of the radiator. And it's going to come loose. Now you want to go ahead and move the harness off to the side. And we should be able to lift this straight up and out. On the lower portion here, you're going to find a plastic button right here that goes into our radiator support. I'm going to use my trim tool. I'm going to go ahead and pop this out. I want to repeat for the driver's side. In the center of the bumper beam here, you're going to locate two 8 millimeter bolts, one here, one on the driver's side. So you're going to loosen and remove these. Wiggle that up and away. Set those aside. We will be reusing those. Now right up here along the top of our unit, there's going to be the wiring harness. I'm going to use my trim tool. You want to go ahead and remove the plastic trim retainers, or the harness retainers here. They are made out of plastic. Sometimes you try to be super gentle and they still break. You can just use some plastic wire ties later to reinstall them if you need to. Now right on the top here, there's a pinch tab on the passenger side here. So you're just going to push in on that, pinch and lift. Here's the tab right here that you're pushing on. So you just pinch that and lift that up and out. Go ahead and put that harness to the side. Now what you can do is go ahead and grab the unit. We're going to pull it out of the bumper beam itself. There's going to be plastic studs that go into the bumper beam. Pop that. With that separated, let's move back up top here. And right in the radiator support, there's going to be these little tabs here. You're just going to pinch those and pull out, and do the same on the passenger side. Pinch and pull. Now at this point here, we have our active grille unit separated from our radiator support in our bumper. Next thing we need to do is we need to raise up the vehicle, and we're going to release the bracket that activates the upper portion of the grille here unit to the lower, which runs behind our bumper beam. Now we're going to come to the upper portion here. I'm going to use my trim tool. What we need to do is separate the active beam in the back that goes up and down with the motor, which opens and closes the lower and the upper shutter here. And we're going to use my trim tool while reaching around the back side here. And we want to pop these out. Now the beam in the back is now separated. You can see if I move this, if I pull that beam away in the back, these here are all free floating. I'm going to keep my hand in the back. I'm going to pull that beam towards the radiator, and I'm going to grab this here and pull it away and drop this down. Now with this out, here is the beam right here, and here is the unit that attaches to the pivot points on our blades. Now on the front upper portion here is going to be a 10mm bolt here on the driver's side. I'm going to loosen and remove that. There's going to be an identical one on the passenger side. I want to go ahead and loosen and remove that one as well. On the front portion of our AC condenser, you're going to have air diverters right here. There's one on the passenger side, one on the driver. I want to go ahead and remove these here. So there's a little clip on the top. Normally you can just lift up on these here, pull it forward. And pop these off. These are the little clips here that you're releasing. We're going to do the same on the driver's side. This one here is slightly different. It has these little U-shaped clips that kind of go around the side here. On the passenger side, the AC condenser is bolted to the radiator via this 10mm bolt. I'm going to use a gear wrench to get in there. You can use a regular wrench if you want. On the driver's side, you're going to locate an 8mm screw right here. I'm going to go ahead and use my 1/4" ratchet and socket to get in there. Here we go, get that bolt out. Now on each side here, we have the AC condenser resting inside of a retaining clip on the radiator. So what you're going to do is basically going to grab that AC condenser and lift it up and out of that tab. Pull it forward and rest it. Now you're going to do the same on the driver's side. And just rest that there. Now from the top, we want to go ahead and pull our wiring harnesses up out of the way. We have our hood release cable, kind of tuck that up out of the way. Now we should be able to tilt our radiator in, and we're going to pull it up out of the 2 mounts at the base. On the top of our radiator here, there's going to be these little mounts that pop into place. These are the ones that we removed the bolts from through the front side. This is on both sides here, so it's a driver and a passenger side plastic mount. They're identical, so you don't have to worry about where they go, but we are going to set those aside. We're going to reuse those later. Now it looks like at one time there was some sort of styrofoam insulator there that has just deteriorated over time. That is not something that's reusable on this particular vehicle, but if yours is there and it's in good shape, you want to salvage that. And go ahead and bring this up and out. Now when you pull the radiator out, it may come out with these rubber bushings here or spacers. We need to reuse these here, so make sure you gather them. This one here had one stuck here. The driver's side one was sitting down on the cross member. Go ahead and set our radiator aside. I'm going to go ahead and pop this down to the cross member now. Before dropping in our new radiator, you want to go ahead and make sure that the drain or petcock is closed. Make sure it's good and snug. Now on our replacement unit, the drain is on the passenger side, not the driver, but it's still going to install just fine. On the base here, we have the studs here that go into the rubber grommets that I had spoken about earlier. Let's go ahead and spin this around, and we're going to lower this down into those rubber grommets. Pull up your harness and your hood release cable. Okay, now that both of the pins are in our rubber body bushings down below, let's go ahead and put our bolts through the AC condenser and into the radiator. Now that we have our radiator dropped into position, we need to interlock our AC condenser tabs here into the mounting bracket on the radiator. So we're going to raise up our condenser. Line that up and push it in. Now we're going to go ahead and line up the one on the driver's side and then push it both down consecutively to go ahead and lock this into place. These tabs, locking tabs, have a tendency to be pretty tight. Now, one of the tricks to getting your bolt to line up is that this rubber grommet with the metal sleeve inside is movable. It can go left and right. At the same time, our mounting bracket at the bottom can go up and down. So you're going to have to manipulate this around to get this to line up. Once you get it lined up, go ahead and get that bolt started. And in general, once you get one of these lined up, the other side is going to line up as well. But you just want to get that started. Go ahead and repeat this process for the driver's side. Get that bolt started, and then we can go ahead and snug them down. Now that we have both of our bolts started, we're going to go ahead and snug these. And once that snugs down, you're pretty much good, because you have the rubber grommet here that acts as an insulator here. So you just want to make that snug when I repeat that process for the driver's side. Just snug that down. I'm going to push in on our AC and radiator, get our mount on there. Go ahead and get the other side in. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to push in, get that lined up. As we push this back, those tabs are going to come through on our radiator support. We can get those two bolts in on the outside edge. Snug that down. I'm going to repeat the same for the other side. Install our lower radiator hose. Remove that rag. Line that up. And there's plastic studs right here and one on the other side. Just line up in the bumper hole. go ahead and start to line up your pivots here and snap those in. All right, so when doing this here, one of the little tips is you can just kind of put your fingers between each blade and just kind of line these up. And once you get them lined up, there's going to be a little bit of tension on that plastic beam in the back, so these will generally hold in place. Then come around and do the same over here. We're going to line them up and just push that bracket on, and you're going to feel it click in and lock into all of these here. Now you don't want to force this motor, but if you wiggle these blades a little bit, you can see all of them moving together, which tells me that all of them are in the bracket appropriately. So I'm going to push this on. Now on the top, we have these little retaining tabs. I want to make sure that everything else is lined up, and it is. Line those up and push them in. Those are locked into place. Perfect. Let's install our two 8mm bolts in the front center of that bumper. Do the driver's side first. The passenger side has a bracket for one of the sensors. Let's get that started. Then on the passenger side, we have this bracket here. It has a little tab on it that locks into the hole in the bumper. Make sure that fits in. Push it in, slide it down, and get your bolt started. Let's go ahead and snug those down. Once those bottom out and they're snug, you're good there. On the lower portion, install one of the retaining buttons. We're going to repeat this process for the passenger side. Install the wiring harness, press in your plastic retainer buttons, and then connect the connector on the top. Press it in. And feel and hear it connect. At this point here, we can go ahead and install the bumper. I'm going to go ahead and pop in our air deflectors here. Just slide them up from underneath. How I'm doing this here is I'm sliding this in behind and I'm tilting it towards the driver's side so that the top goes up at an angle. Go ahead and get that upper tab resting on top of the AC condenser and then just swing this around and down. You can line that up and pop on all of your tabs and snap that into place. Once it's popped in, I'm going to go ahead and repeat for the other side. Now installing the driver's side here, these here need to go around the cylindrical tube on the side. So what we're going to do is we're going to slide this up to the bottom, snap these on in place, and then we're going to just go ahead and wedge this up and over the top. All right. Now that we have both of our air diverters or air deflectors installed, let's continue. And when lowering in your fan assembly, you want to make sure that you drop them down into this little locking tab right here. There's one on the passenger side, one on the driver's side. So once we get the fan set up, we're going to drop it down and lock it into place. Grab the new fan assembly, lower this down. Pull that wiring harness up and around. Now once you get down into the general area, we now need to go ahead and drop the driver and passenger side down into the tabs on the radiator to lock that into place. Now that we have it in place, let's go ahead and install the upper bolts securing the fan to the radiator. Get that one started, get the passenger side started. Might have to grab that fan assembly and just bring it up and down a little bit to get that hole on the cooling fan assembly to line up with the radiator. And once you get them started, we'll go ahead and snug those down. Now once that bottoms out, just snug it gently. It doesn't have to be super tight, but you do want to make sure that it's snug enough to hold it in place. And do the same on the side here. Install our harness and connectors on the fan assemblies. Press in, you're going to feel it and hear it lock into place. And then press in the rest of your harness retainers. So we're going to remove our securing strap here. Bring our upper radiator hose over and slide that on. Make sure that's fully seated. Go ahead and slide our clamp over in a position here. All right. You want to make sure that the two plastic posts line up with the rubber grommets when you drop this down into place. Install your two bolts. Once it bottoms out, about a quarter turn. Bottomed out, quarter turn. Install the upper lid. Make sure that these 3 tabs go into the airbox base. Push this down. Work it onto the throttle body. Snap up the 2 metal clips here, securing the base to the lid. On the top over here, we have our vacuum hose. Install that. Push it on, you're going to hear it lock into place. On the back here, we have the other vacuum hose. Push that onto the port. We're going to go ahead and grab our flathead screwdriver and tighten up the upper hose clamp. Might be easier to go ahead and tighten that clamp with that hose off. Depends on the position of your hose clamp, really. You want to make sure that's good and snug. At this point here, we can go ahead and connect the ground terminal on your battery, and you're all set. Grab that ground terminal, slide that over. Make sure that's twisted all the way down. Go ahead and snug this down. I'm using a hand ratchet. You don't want to over tighten these here. Using power tools is going to be easy to do that. So snug that down and then give that a twist. Make sure that it's good and secure. At that point there, you're all set. Go ahead and bring your bumper cover up into place. I want to go ahead and get these 2 upper tabs up on here. Once these tabs are hanging on the top, that's going to pretty much support your bumper. Now what we're going to do is walk around the edge and we're going to line up our bumper cover with our fender. Go ahead and line this up. And as you come around, you want to make sure that our bumper lines up with the retaining bracket right here. Let's go ahead and repeat this for the driver's side. Go ahead and get your bolts lined up and installed. Now we have 4 here on yours. You're probably gonna have 2 more on the top. Don't forget to get those started. Just want to snug these down. Take your plastic push button retainer, line that up. And then push that center in. Once you have the button in there, let's go ahead and install these screws across the lower front section here. Now normally you would have the 3. Ours is missing off the bottom. Go ahead and secure the ones that you do have. You want to repeat this process for the driver's side. With the bumper installed, reconnect your marker light here. You're going to hear it and click into place. Go ahead and repeat this process for the driver's side. And line up your lower front splash shield. Go ahead and install your plastic push pins here. And once you get these installed, you now want to go ahead and follow along the outer front lip here where it attaches to your vehicle and install the necessary hardware there. Our vehicle is damaged, so we don't have the related components to attach this to, but you want to go ahead and secure that. Once you're done there, finish securing the outer edge. Once you're done securing the outer edge, don't forget to come back here and finish securing the edge here to your wheel well splash guard. Now, in order to fill our cooling system properly, we do have a vacuum tool right here, and this is highly recommended. Now, some people may want to go ahead and just put a funnel in here, start up the vehicle, and let the thermostat open up. Well, at that point there, the vehicle is at 190 to maybe 200 degrees before that thermostat opens, and you could cause a potential head gasket issue or other problems with that motor. Ideally, this is the way to go. We want to go ahead and use our vacuum pressure here. I'm going to put our air vent tube down below. Put our other tube into our coolant bottle. What we're looking to do is get to our 25 pounds or more, just a little bit more. I'm gonna go a little more. Now we're going to leave that and we're going to watch this here and make sure that that pressure does not bleed down. If our pressure bleeds down, that means we have a coolant leak or a air leak somewhere in the system. Now at this point here, we have our pressure. We're now going to open up our valve here and introduce our coolant into the system. Now as we're filling this here, we also want to pay attention to the fill line here on the side, and we have a cold fill line. Now at this point here, I did overfill it just a tiny bit. That way, then when we release everything, some of that pressure is going to drop down a little bit. But always, if you do overfill it, you can go ahead and use an evacuation tool or a suction tool to pull out a little bit of that fluid out of the top of the reservoir. I'm going to go ahead and release our air hose here. Release our air pressure. Then we'll go ahead and remove our tool. Now at this point right now, we did drop down a little bit. We are still within the parameters right there. If you want to, you can just add a little bit of coolant to the top here using a regular funnel just to fill up that tank. So let's go ahead and do that. Remove the funnel and install the cap. Go ahead and wipe down any residual coolant that might be around the reservoir itself. Then once you're done with this here, you can go ahead and start up the vehicle. It's always recommended to go ahead and put that heat on high. When that thermostat opens up, it's going to go ahead and circulate everything nicely. Go for a road test. Now after you drive around for about 5-10 minutes, you can come on back and check that level. If everything looks okay, you're good to go. And if you do need to top off this unit here, you're only going to access it through here, but never open this when it's hot. You only open this here when the engine is cooled off. At that point there, you're all set.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.